Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. All right, y'all, get on in here, get on in here, get comfortable. Today I'm talking about Kingdom's Business, okay? I'm doing a review recap for season 1, episodes 1 through 8, all right? Every now and then when I have a little extra time, I talk about shows that I like, or sometimes somebody did ask me like a couple of weeks back about it. If you put in a request, and when I get time, I will talk about the show. So I didn't have intentions on talking about this show. However, I watched it and I have to say that this was a pleasant surprise. So now I decided let's, talk about it, all right? So if you haven't watched it, maybe you want to go watch it. Come back and check out the review. If you have watched it or you don't care about spoilers, then hey, sit down, get comfortable, stick around. So let's go ahead and get into this. Now, with Kingdom Business, right? This, of course, is with me, Miss Yolanda Adams. I love Yolanda Adams, all right? I listen to her all the time. I don't mind seeing her. I don't mind hearing her sing. We know she's never going to miss when it comes to singing. But however, I was very skeptical of how she was going to do with acting, okay? Now, we have some veteran actors in here, which is Michael J. White playing Caesar, and we have Michael Bleacher, I believe it is, playing her husband, right, Mr. Bishop Calvin. And in this is the Kingdom family, of course, and they have, two kids. One is named Taj, the other one is named CJ, is one boy, one girl. The son is a producer on Danita's record label, right? She's basically a big-time gospel artist. So that's not far from, Yolanda Adams' actual life, right? And then her husband is the bishop of the church, right? And her daughter is basically the choir director. And so this is like literally a family business. They all play a role, whether it's in the record label or it's in the church, right? So we meet them first, and we seeing Danita performing, and we seeing that it's somebody named Caesar in the back of the church. We don't know who he is at this time, but she's obviously upset to see him there and wondering why he's there. She's also upset because this reporter's coming around, and she's like, he don't come around unless he want to start some mess, and he got to be up to something, right? At the same time, we also meet Danny and Rebel, who are strippers that are working at this strip club. They're also friends. And we see that Danny is very upset, right? She's arguing with the boss, and she's complaining to Rebel that she's being asked to do things that she don't want to do, right? And then Rebel's like, no, they wouldn't do that. And we always, could choose what we're going to do and we're not going to do. And Danny tells her she don't know everything that she thinks she does, right? But at the same time, she's not giving her much information. She also tells her, they can't let stripping be the be-all to the end-all of them, right? Like, she don't want to just be stripping for the rest of her life. And she talks about how her mom has been kind of bothering her and saying that parishioners are talking and all that stuff, of course, because of the fact that she's a stripper, how she needs to change her life. And then she talks about the fact that her and Rebel had met each other or knew each other through juvie, and they used to do music together. So she like, girl, we could get back to doing music. That's when we was happy. That's something that brings us peace. And she's like, promise me that this is not going to be it, and that we will do music again and, do things that's going to make our lives better. And Rebel basically promises her that she will. So, we then have Danita and Bishop go home after this church service that they have, and he gets a call that's basically letting him know about the shooting, because these are her parents. Danny's parents are parishioners at their church, so they're calling him to come to the hospital. And she basically makes the comment like, yeah, you always gotta go out at night, right? You always seems to get calls at night that you gotta go somewhere, because he tells her about it. And I'm like, so Bishop is stepping out at night. Okay, duly noted, right? We also find out that Miss Danita is nominated for 12 Stellas, while Caesar's only nominated for 1. So he's in his feelings because apparently he's a producer, right? Well, he produced, I should say, and wrote songs for Danita's first album. They actually came up together, right? And so he feels like, at a bare minimum, if he's not at least nominated for more things, then he should at least be included in the tribute to her. But of course, Danita ain't trying to hear that, right? And we have Rebel and Danny sharing an Uber ride home, right? And they're, still talking. This is when she starts kind of going into the whole music thing with her. And so when Danny gets out the car, we see in another car pulling up to her, and Rebel tells, the car that she's in to stop. And when she looks, you kind of see them first talking, then change into an argument going on. Then you see a hand point out the window with this gun, baby, and Danny gets shot. So Rebel is like, call the police, call the police. She jump out the car, run over there. Danny basically dies in her arms, right? When they get to the hospital, of course, she gives, as much information as she can to the police, because she really didn't get to see nothing. She tries to tell them the make of the car and what color the sleeve looked like that was hanging out the window. That's the most she could really say. And then we see Bishop going past to be with her parents, and we see the doctor come out and basically tell them that she didn't make it. So, at this point, now it's time for Danny's funeral, and Rebel is like, listen, I ain't going to that funeral. You know what I mean? She's like, me and the church don't have a good relationship or whatever. But a mentor of hers tells her, like, listen, this is going to be your last chance you're going to have to say goodbye. So you might want to go ahead and get over there to this funeral, all right? It's not about the church and all that other stuff. So she goes and she figures, I'll just sit in the back or whatever and mind my business. So the bishop ended up saying, is there anybody that wants to get up and say anything about Danny? And nobody's moving. Nobody's saying nothing. You got her parents looking all around like that. Not one person want to say something about her. So being as though that happens, Rebel ends up getting up, going to the front of the church, and she sings this song. Baby, let me tell you, she sung it down, okay? And she caught Taj's eye. He ends up recording her, and it goes viral. It gets over 2 million views, right? And so everybody's like, who the heck is this girl? And they trying to figure out, where does she come from, right? And Taj basically goes to his mother about signing her, and she's completely against it. When Bishop goes to her and tells her, like I said, that he was even going to do the memorial in the first place, she was, that stripper girl. So obviously Miss Danita feels that she is above everybody, right? And that, she don't even want that amount of respect given to somebody to even have condolences or sympathy or whatever because of the fact that they stripped. So I was like, wow, Danita, really? Okay, girl, we see you. So Taj ends up going to show Caesar the tape, right? He's like, have you seen this girl that went viral? And Caesar's like, no. So he's like, look, you got to check her out. He was like, I'm telling you, she's really special. So he was like, then why would you be coming to me? Because remember, this is his mother's rival. He's like, wouldn't you take it to Kingdom? And he was like, well, I feel like Redemption Records is a better fit for her than Kingdom. And he was like, please, I feel like I have to do this, because he's saying that God spoke to him and told him that she's the one. So Caesar at first was real skeptical about it. He wasn't really trying to hear him. But then he was like, you know what? If you would put yourself out there to have your mom be pissed at you and saying that God told you this, then you really must, be serious. So he was like, if you could get her to me, then I'll do the rest. So Taj goes looking for her at the strip club, but this does not go as good as he might have thought it would, okay? First, she was just listening to him, but she's also trying to dance still and make her money. She's like, you got to pay this amount of time, pay this amount of money for my time. So he's trying to talk to her while she's dancing. He's telling her, like, look, stop dancing. He's like, I'm being serious about this. I'm from a record company. And I guess at first she thought it was an R&B company or R&B, producer. But then when he says gospel, she like, are you crazy? Do you see where I'm at and when I'm into what I look like doing gospel? And when he's trying to give her his card, she took it that, he was trying to like grab her up or whatever. So she called security and they end up throwing him out. And he still just threw the card on the floor. Like, if you change change your mind, reach out to me. Right. So when he gets back, his mom was essentially trying for hours to come up with this song, right? Because right now she feels like she needs new material. She feels like she needs to go out on tour again. With them giving her these Stellar Awards or nominating her for these Stellar Awards and nominating her for a Lifetime Achievement Award, she feels as though they're trying to say it's time for her to retire, that, she's done all she could do. So she's trying to prove to them, like, no, baby, I'm not done at all. According to her, she just getting started. So she had been down here trying to think of a song and couldn't, figure one out. And when she looked at these papers that was on top of the computer, rather the piano, she was like, oh, what is this mess? Who left this here? And she all of a sudden finds this song. So she's working on it. So when Taj gets back home, he ends up sitting down, arranging the song, singing the song with her. And she's like, see, this is why I need you. And she, basically says that they should do a duet. And he's against the duet because he's like, I don't like singing in front of people, okay? He likes being able to be, behind the scenes. But of course, she talks him into it. So now this is supposed to be a duet between him and his mother, right? And so Rebel is basically cleaning out Danny's locker at work. And when she gets home, she puts the flash drive into her laptop to go ahead and see what's on it. And we see where Danny was setting up, whatever camera or whatever she used to do this recording, right? She's setting it up where it could be pointing towards the bed. Then she gets in the bed. Then this person comes in and basically gets on top of her and they get it in. And when the person gets out the bed and turns around and faces the camera, it was the bishop, y'all. It was the bishop. I said bishop. Excuse me. Bishop, what are you doing, Bishop? Child. So then Taj, basically ended up, kind of going against the family, right? And he brings a reluctant Rebel to meet with Caesar, right? And so now he's trying to actually help her to get signed to Redemption Records. At one point Caesar's like, well, is he your, lawyer? Is he your representative? Is he your manager? She like, no, I just asked him to come here to be with me, right? And so, we see that Danita is basically doing this performance, right? And we like, okay, what's going on here, whatever, because every time she's in the spotlight, it was be like every time she stay in one place, then the light go out. So she's like, well, what's going on here, right? And the scenes keep changing, and then we seeing that another person starts singing, and she's like, who's that? That's not me. So come to find out, she's basically having a nightmare, right? And Rebel's man ends up telling her that what she's doing or holding on to this recording could possibly get her killed, right? That this is probably what Danny got Danny killed. So he's like, you need to tell the police about this. And she's against telling the police because she's like, well, this is probably just a sex tape and they're going to be looking at her even worse and judging her. And then they really not going to want to find who murdered her, right? So they both feel differently about it, right? And then Zanita goes to Dwayne, who is played by Kirk Franklin, who apparently is her person that she goes to whenever she has dreams to find out what the dreams are about. And he says that she's no longer in God's favor, right? And that he didn't reveal who the other person was in the dream. So Taj basically finds out that the song his mother had him singing with her at the piano was actually his brother's-in-law's song, right? It's basically CJ husband and his name is Malcolm Walker. And he goes to her like, yo, did you ask him for permission? Did you let him know that you was going to be using his song? You can't just take his song or whatever. And she tells him the song is hers now, okay? So Danita's out here just stealing people's songs left and right, honey. And then you have her go and put it on her daughter CJ for her to tell the husband. So when she tells the husband, we find out this is not the first time, okay? This seemed like a regular routine. And he's upset and he says to CJ like, Dad, did you even fight for me? Because this was a song that he wanted to be, put out. And it just was kind of like, oh, well, the song is gone, babe. There's nothing you could do about it, right? And we have the cops show up to Bishop House and let him know that one of their cars from the church that's registered to the church basically came up in the investigation. It was seen close to the scene where this shooting happened, some kind of way with the license plate. And so he says that that car supposedly was stolen. And of course, if they find any information, to keep him updated and let him know. So after the meeting, right, Caesar lets Rebel know that he knows who she is, right? And he knows the song that she was singing. He tells her, your name is Rebel Bell and your mom's name was Raven. And he pulls out an album that the mother basically did. So we find out that Danita and Caesar have this history, and then Raven, who's Rebel's mom, actually has the history too. So it's like, what is the chances this had to be meant to be, that you would end up coming back to a studio to work with somebody that you didn't even know actually worked with your mom, right? Now, Bishop tells the owner of the club what happened with Danny, right? And that Danny might have something on him. He's scared about this, and that the cops came, to see him or whatever, and that he didn't have anything to do with Danny's death. And at this point, the owner of the club is like, look, I don't care about all of that. All I know is it better not come back on us, because it's going to be problems. So this is where we're kind of seeing that you got politicians that's mixed up in this. You got different clergymen that's mixed up in this. You got doctors, lawyers, law enforcement. Every different type of powerful man is mixed up into this. And if they feel like their livelihoods is going to be threatened, whoever is threatening it is going to basically have to get out the way, right? And so he says that he will look to see if she left anything in his locker or whatever the case may be. And, as far as anything else, Bishop better do what he got to do and make sure that he's covered, right? And then Rebel goes home and remembers her mom and seeing her, in the bathtub. Now she's getting all these different flashbacks since having the conversation with Caesar at the studio. And her boyfriend puts on the mom's record, and he just was very insensitive. I didn't like the boyfriend too much, to be honest. He came off very selfish. He came off jealous. Sometimes he would make a point in telling her to call the police, but the other times it was like if he wanted her to be stuck, he didn't want her to have no growth. And in this particular situation, he turns around and tells her like, oh, I'm tired of you always crying about your mom or whatever. You should just be able to get over it. And I'm like, how dare you? How you going to tell somebody that they have to get over something that obviously they never dealt with? That's a trauma they still carry around with them, where they saw their mom dead in the tub when they was a daggone child. Like, no. Okay, so he turned me off with that. Caesar basically did try to offer Rebel $5,000, and Rebel wasn't trying to hear that. She wanted $25,000. She wanted a year contract, and she wanted to basically be able to keep her word to Danny and go for something better. So that's the only reason why she supposedly changed her mind and went back. I do believe that was part of the reason, and I think the fact that she was able to see that this was a place that her mom also worked at before was another part of the reason as well. So they had to keep going back and forth or whatever, because Caesar at first was like, I don't know about all of that, but then he agreed to it. So now when she comes in the studio, he have Kira Sherrod there in the studio. She's singing. He says she gonna stay around and help, Rebel. So he bringing out the big dogs for her, right? And so now we get to the Stella Awards, and Bishop gets a call from the police as soon as he's getting out the car, whatever the case may be. And they saying they found the car, the car, but it was torched conveniently, right? And we're also seeing the first signs of the fact that CJ suffers with some type of depression, right? And her mom seems to be very insensitive to her, just like she is to everybody, right? Basically, when they get into the Stella Awards, CJ was having a moment, and she tells her, this isn't your moment, CJ, this is mine. And CJ is kind of like, when isn't it your moment, So that's when we first start to see like there's a rift between them, and you're kind of thinking that it's just about the fact that Zanita took the song, but of course that was one piece of it, but we find out later is more to that, right? And so then, we find out also that there's 3 people that's honoring Zanita. So now she like, well, who's the 3? Because Zanita made it very clear that she wanted to know who these people was going to be that was going to be doing this, doing the singing for her, right? And she had picked 2 people. She made it very clear she didn't want no surprises. She wanted who she wanted, right? She kept going on and on about this to Taj. So when they say it's 3 people, she's like, well, who's the 3? Baby, come to find out it was Leandra Johnson. Then it was some group coming out to dance, and then they brung out Rebel. And she's about to blow her daggone. She was about to blow a gasket, baby, but she couldn't. She had to just play it off, right? And so Caesar some kind of way set it up and got them to let you know, Rebel come to sing Danita's song. So of course he kind of gloating and happy after the performance is over because this is a new artist he signed and he still got, you know what I'm saying, if he couldn't be there and be a part of it, he got somebody that was a representation of his company to be there, right? And we know that she don't like her because of the fact that it was a stripper. So that was like his way of gloating. And so then they get up on the stage together, Zanita and Caesar, after everybody is leaving, and they kind of share this moment and they reminiscing. Then it's turning into an argument. Then they kissing. I said, wait a minute, hold up, what's going on here? So we find out they was together back in the days. And we find out that they would have had a child that was Rebel's age, y'all. We find out that Miss Danita got an abortion. And that she knew Rebel's mom. And we finding out that, you know, this was not her choice. She really loved Caesar, okay? But apparently her daddy didn't want her with Caesar, made her dump him, made her get the abortion, set her up with, you know what I'm saying, Bishop, because he thought for whatever reason that that was the better man and that's who he wanted to have lead the church and all of that kind of stuff, right? I guess Caesar must have been looked at as the rebellious one. So they all spent most of their lives living a daggone lie when it all comes down to it. And I'm like, oh, what a miserable way to live, honey. So, you know, let me drink a little bit of my tea. Because that was some tea they gave us, honey. So I was like, wow. Now, once it comes out that Rebel is a stripper, of course, like I said, everybody's losing their minds, right? It's all over, all of, you know, how you would imagine social media, the blogs, whatever have you. And, you know, Rebel comes home and her house is just trashed, right? And the person is actually still in the house and they trying to get her laptop. And, you know, they tussle with her, they shoot at her, just miss her. So that had to be a warning shot. And then, you know, the shell falls on her, whatever, right? And so now that this news came out, Danita's going around, you know, on this daggone tour, just all over the place on all these different shows, talking about how she wants to save Rebel Soul, right? And how she's going to come with some protesters outside of the strip club, right? And we also found out Kingdom Business is broke, okay? They ain't making no money. They need a whole lot of donations and a whole lot of tithes to come through because they ain't making not a dime, okay? We also found out, like I said, that it was more to CJ's story. She apparently had a miscarriage while she was 8 months pregnant. And it's been 6 months since it happened. So I'm like, you mean to tell me that Danita would not be more compassionate and caring to her daughter, and she's acting like if, you know, well, what's wrong with you? What's your problem type of thing? Knowing that her daughter just experienced this, but then I'm like, at this point, we should know Danita, right? So I guess that's not within her to do that. But yes, she's dealing with a lot, right? And so Rebel does end up calling the cops after the break-in happened, and she's like, look, I'm entrusting y'all. She gives them the flash drive. She tells them about the break-in and everything that happened, and she's like, I need y'all to get on this case and find out what happened to my friend, right? And so, you know, CJ basically tells her father that she's broken and she needs help, y'all. She says she's tormented and she's living in darkness. And Daddy Bishop just basically was like, okay, let me pray for you. And he said this prayer, and it was a heartfelt prayer. You know, they sat there and they cried together, and then he walked away. And she was like, thank you, Daddy. But you could tell that she was still basically in pain. And that scene just broke my heart, y'all. So Taj is saying that he's going to be celibate, right? He says that God, you know what I'm saying, will tell him who his wife is going to be. But at the same time, we seeing him having these makeout sessions with his girlfriend, and we seeing her getting frustrated and saying she needs more than that, and that he knew who she was when, you know, he met her. But I'm like, you know who he was too, honey. It works both ways, right? And so we see that the cops give the USB to the chief, but the chief is down with, you know what I'm saying, Bishop and them. So I'm like, well, where's this investigation going to go, okay? Inquiring minds want to know. So, we have Rebel about to do this video in the strip club, honey. They done brung the church to the strip club. And Danita's outside protesting or whatever. But then the owner comes over to her and shows her the video of how Taj had went there looking for, Rebel. And it all was caught on video. So he tells her she better get her behind up there, right? And he also takes a trip to Bishop to let him know you better get your wife in check because she's coming around, creeping around the club, right? And so now, like I said, Taj is here with his girlfriend kissing and hugging and all of that. And Miss Danita basically comes, finds him at his girlfriend's house, curses him out, confronts him, slaps the mess out of him, and fires him, okay? She's pissed. And then she goes back to the club, sets the dumpster on fire, which basically sets the club on fire, honey. So Danita's out here literally burning stuff up, all right? And Rebel shows up to practice with her boyfriend, and Caesar's not feeling this at all because the boyfriend trying to act like he a producer, like he in charge of stuff. He's just getting in the way and being annoying, and we see that Bishop is creeping downstairs, and it's like, well, where you going, Bishop? What's in there? What's happening? Honey child, come to find out Bishop is also having an affair with the daggone assistant of Danita's, which is Sasha, played by Tamar Braxton, and they down here sneaking in the dressing room. He can't even get it up, and he's so stressed about the whole Danny situation, and he's venting to her, telling her all about the blackmail, so she know all the tea apparently, right? And at the same time, Danita was trying to look for him and call him, but he's not answering because he's busy with Sasha, because she want to let him know that she's been served, okay? Caesar's not playing no games, okay? He said put some respect on his name. And now he's suing her, and he wants it to be where she can't sing any of her songs from the Glory album, all right? He wants his recognition for the fact that he produced and wrote these songs. So now Danita's father done came to town because he needs to step in that, none of y'all's handling business the way y'all supposed to. And we also see that Caesar set up for Rebel's man to be able to go on tour with Migos, okay? That way he's out the way, he not coming in, he not bothering them, right? So he tells her he's going on tour. At first he was trying to get her to go with him, but she was like, no, I gotta stay here and, handle my own stuff. So, Caesar told Miss Danita's father, no, don't worry about it, I'ma go and handle it. So he calls himself going to Caesar and confronting him, right, and telling him you gotta call off this lawsuit and everything like that, right? But Caesar basically pulls out, honey, the letter and was like, no, first of all, your wife wrote me a letter where she's declaring her love, because when Caesar had left from Rebel and them, right, and her boyfriend, he had went downstairs and was looking in this box, and he basically found a ring, which was the ring he was going to propose to her with before she broke up with him, and he found a letter. They never showed us what the letter was, right? And so, like I said, Bishop, when the father came, he was saying he was going to handle it, and Bishop told him no, he was going to handle it. So when he get there, and he calling Caesar out and telling him, you going to have to go ahead and drop this case that you got against my wife. He said, why would I do that when I got this letter right here where she's basically confessing her love to me, okay, and also proclaiming her love to me and telling me and thanking me for writing the Glory album for her. So now he has the proof, and he was like, and you could keep this because this is a copy, okay? And so we also had the chief come to the bishop and tell him, well, the bishop had requested the chief come, right? And the bishop is telling him he needs a favor and that he want to be able to give the family closure and all of this different kind of stuff, right? And let them know that the murderer was found. And the chief says we do have evidence and we will be making an arrest soon, but he don't let us know who it's gonna be, right? And then we have CJ go for Taj's job, right? And Zanita's like, do you think you can handle this? She's like, yeah. She was like, well, if you could get somebody to replace him on a duet, then we'll talk about it, right? The job is yours. So she said, yeah, she can handle that. And so, basically Caesar ends up showing Rebel a recording, right, of her as a little girl where um she was in the studio with her mom, right? And it's literally his studio where she's at now. So it is a full circle moment where, like I said, he worked with her mom and she's seeing that she was there with her, right? And she didn't even have no memory of that. And then Bishop shows the Danita, when he gets back to the office, the letter that comes from Caesar, she's talking about, I didn't think he would still have this. I can't believe he still had this after all these years. And then damn, you know what I'm saying? Bishop is like, I can't believe you wrote that, right? But it is what it is, because obviously they never got married because of any love, right? This was something that was set up for them, as we learn. And so Taj basically, ends up making this song out of Danny's notes, because for the longest time, Rebel kept trying to get Caesar to, make a song or let her make a song out of Danny's notes or Danny's poems. And he would keep saying, this one is not right, that one is not right. And he was always trying to, get her to do one of her mom's songs and things like that. So Taj comes over and he's able to take some of the words from this song and be like, this'll work. And they start singing, and it's like something about trying. And he starts getting on the piano playing, and they sing together, and you just see the spark flying, honey. All right. He already have more chemistry with her than he do with his daggone girlfriend Essence, right? And at the same time, CJ, she proposes that the duet that her mom should do should actually be with Essence, right? Her brother's girl, who is an R&B singer. So at first they like, what? And then she wants Taj to be on it as a producer. So of course right now Mama's still mad at Taj. So she essentially kind of lies to both of them, right? She tells Taj that Danita's gonna apologize, and she tells Danita that Taj is gonna apologize, right? So that they could all come together. And the first is kind of conflict. Mama's acting, a hot mess like she do. Her and Essence is bumping heads. But then they get it together and they actually sound good. And then Taj says to CJ, like, you do know you basically picked mom as your girlfriend, right? Like, in other words, the girlfriend is just like his mother. And he is like, what? And then when he starts to watch them together, he's like, you're right. So I guess he had never noticed that before. And he was starting to second guess himself. So, you have Caesar trying to send Rebel to boot camp. He has her going and listening to different parishioners, different gospel things. He's like, a writing boot camp. This is going to teach you about writing. So he's just trying to get her to learn different aspects of it, right? And then Rebel is checking back in with the police, and she's getting absolutely nothing, right? And so all of a sudden the police start talking about how they did finally find the murderer, so they say, right? But now they end up killing him, and she doesn't believe it. She doesn't think this is the person that went after Rebel, right? But they claim they have the proof that it is him. So, you have CJ and her husband decide that they're gonna move forward at this point, since she's like been taking counseling. She's working as a producer at the company and all of that stuff. She's starting to get inside of a better place now, right? And she says that she's gonna turn the baby room into something else, and she's looking forward to their future. And they finally get it in. Apparently they didn't have sex for a long time, and it was just a whole bunch of frustration and different stuff going on with them. So it seems like they finally getting into a good place, right? And Taj ends up breaking his daggone pledge, because like I said, he was having them sparks flying when he was at that piano and he almost kissed Rebel. He didn't kiss her though. So then when he got back to his girlfriend's house, he ended up having sex with her, since he was still hot and bothered. I said, honey, I don't know if that's the answer, but okay, I see you, right? And so Bishop finds out about the fact that Miss Danita's the one that went there and set the dag on fire. And he gets a warning that, if you don't get your wife in check, y'all gonna lose this church and everything. So you better figure it out and let her know to cut the bull, okay? So, we have Rebel do this private investigation, and she basically finds out finally that it's Bishop that was on the tape. Of course, she goes there, she confronts him, she lets Taj know about it. He came with her. Now, Taj is feeling like, listen, my dad, he's wrong. Okay, I could see him sleeping with her, but I don't think my dad is a murderer. She, of course, is feeling like, you're just thick enough for him because, what I'm saying, it's your dad. But they all trash. Your mama trash, he trash. She not putting nothing against past any of them, right? And We have them also having to do damage control at the same time because they find out that Sasha's ready to do a tell-all book, okay? The one that he was having the affair with. So now you got both the kids mad at him because Taj is like, damn, you were sleeping with Danny. Now you sleeping with Sasha too. You know, CJ is mad because apparently her and Sasha was supposed to be friends, and it's like, well, how the hell, you know, you supposed to be this man of God and you going around sleeping with my friend. So each one of them is saying that they're going to go talk to Sasha. They even say, well, maybe we need to call Daddy back again, right? Zanita's father. But Caesar again is saying, no, I made this mess. I'm going to go take care of it or whatever. I said, listen, Bishop is saying again. I said, Bishop, I don't know if you could take care of anything at this point, honey, right? And so, you know, Rebel and Taj basically are supposed to, well, no, I'm sorry. Before that even happened, right? Essence and Zanita are supposed to do this show. Zanita goes out of her way to get her and Essence involved into the show, right? They didn't want them because they looking at Zanita like she's old, right? So she had to throw in there like, well, I have this duet that I did with Essence in order to get them interested. They like, wait, with Essence? And she's like, yeah. So they end up including her. Originally, they only wanted Rebel, right? And then Rebel is still mad at Taj because, of course, the whole situation with his father. But she puts that aside and essentially first the moms Anita and Essence perform, and then here come Taj and Rebel behind them. And again, sparks fly is just so undeniable. And when the concert finishes and they are going, you know what I'm saying, out towards the back, they share a kiss. And who should come in and see they dad on kiss but Rebel's man, and he is pissed and he ready to fight, honey. He was so pissed off, and so he leaves. They essentially end up breaking up and he packs up all his stuff and goes to Vegas. So now, you know, Zanita is still kind of seeing the signs and seeing things fumbling all around her. So she so-called goes on this truth tour, right? Because remember, Dwayne told her God wants her to tell the truth. She starts breaking down and admitting things to her son, you know, having these conversations. She tells the husband she's going to divorce him after this final album is done. She says to Caesar that she's going to tell the truth about everything and apologizes to him. So I said, well, maybe Miss Anita, you know what I'm saying, is changing. Maybe we're going to see some stuff going on with her, right? Let's see. So Zanita and Bishop is having this talk, and he's saying how he want to have this anniversary party, and she was like, why would we do that? I just literally was talking to you about getting a divorce. So why the heck are we going to have an anniversary party, right? And he's like, it would be the last one. And then he lets her know that he never loved Sasha. And she's like, yeah, I know, and you never loved me either. And he was like, yeah, I didn't, but I tried. And she was like, I tried too. So we see that they come to some type of agreement, conclusion, whatever you want to look at it as, right? And then Taj and Rebel meet up and talk, and that's when he was telling her that he's gonna break up with Essence. So Essence comes to Miss Danita's party, honey, and keeps telling Taj they need to talk, and he's like, okay, can it wait? And she basically tells him she's pregnant. So of course, now that she's pregnant, there goes that. They not gonna be Taj getting with Rebel now, right? Now he gonna have to stay with Essence. I said, damn, Taj, you ain't even have the sense to use, protection. So, you have Taj talking to Bishop about Rebel and Danny or whatever, and then you have the chief come and talk to Bishop, and the chief basically lets him know that he's always gonna be there to serve the kingdom's business, whatever the heck that means, right? That basically he'll cover up whatever he needs to for them, right? And then Sasha brings her behind back to the party, and CJ is ready to toss her somewhere, but Caesar again steps in and says let him handle it, right? And Taj goes crying to CJ and says that he's weak and that God is punishing him. And she's basically like, don't say that way. Don't feel that way. After he finds out about Essence being pregnant, basically, she says everything happens for a reason. And I'm saying that there are no mistakes where God is concerned and stuff like that, right? So she's just telling him to hang in there. And then Caesar calls Taj and offers him a job, and he goes and confronts, Miss Danita again, like, listen, you lied. I gave you a chance. You were supposed to clear my name. You were supposed to give me credit. You were supposed to give me an apology, and you didn't do any of it. So he's like, Taj is mine now, right? And then Rebel finds out that Caesar, hired Taj. And like I said, at first she was initially excited about it, but now, finding out that Taj is pregnant, that Essence is pregnant, that kind of changes, her feelings on all of that. And so Rebel goes out getting drunk, right? And gets recorded, and then at the same time when she's leaving, she has this person that comes up to her that says, thank you, you saved me. And that's when it really dawns on her, like, damn, I just messed up, right? So when she gets back to the office, Caesar is telling her that she ruined her career. It's over. He's like, the only thing he could think of that she could do to save herself excuse me, as if she gets baptized, right? And excuse me, y'all. So the only thing she could do to save herself is if she gets baptized, right? And Calvin goes out to preach, and we seeing that the drawer is open, right? And this drawer always had a gun there. So it's like, uh-oh, wait a minute. Where's the gun? What's going on, right? And at the same time, Rebel is supposed to be getting baptized. So we see that, she's there and there's people getting baptized. They singing. Caesar's taking out the phone to record. So we see that Bishop, is doing like a back and forth. And Bishop is saying that this is going to be his final sermon. He's saying he's no longer worthy to lead the flock. And everybody's looking around. He starts talking about him and Danny's sexual relationship and how he made such a big mistake. And he took, advantage of his parishioners. He took advantage of her. He's not the one that killed her. But he felt like he kind of helped lead her to the path that got her killed, right? And so then we seeing that Rebel is saying, just as they about to baptize her, she's like, no, I'm not ready to be baptized and I'm not going to do it until I am. So Caesar's looking real disappointed. He just standing there looking. And Bishop basically says he can't forgive himself. And honey child, we hear the shot go off. And I guess Bishop shot himself. And that's how the episode ended, y'all. I was like, wait a minute. Like, I need season 2. I need it right now. Today. I need to know if did they get approved for season 2 and when season 2 is coming back, because they got me, y'all. They got me, honey. This was really something. I like this show. The only thing I would say is that if it does come back for season 2, I would like to see some growth with Rebel. I would like to see some growth with Miss Danita. I know she may still be, crazy. I would like to see how they're going to handle this with the father, shooting himself. And I would definitely like to see more of story of CJ, because I feel like out of all the stories they was telling of the different family members, she kind of got the least of it. And I really feel like her story is important. So that was really like, that would be my expectations, what I would want. But y'all tell me what y'all liked, what y'all didn't like, what y'all would want and not want. Okay, if there is a season 2, put it all in the comments. Let's discuss. Okay, give me a wave, put some flames up. Let me know you came by. Okay, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you are so inclined. Until next time, toodaloo.